Imagine this: human civilization has existed for only a blink of cosmic time, and we may already be closer to the end than the beginning. Most people assume humanity is still young with a long future ahead, but statistically, that assumption may be dangerously optimistic. The doomsday arguments suggests that if you randomly appear in human history, chances are you are not in the earliest part, but somewhere near the middle or end. In other words, the probability says, we're not early pioneers of civilization, we are likely latecomers, witnessing its final chapters. Humanity is roughly 200,000 years old. But agriculture is only 10,000 years old. And the modern world is less than 200 years old. All of our technology, electricity, computers, rockets, AI fits into less than 0.1% of our species' entire existence. Rapid growth like this often appears right before systems collapse. Ecosystems, economies, and even civilizations show similar patterns before falling apart. This raises a chilling question. What if our technological explosion is not the beginning of a long journey, but the final flash before decline? The argument isn't about pessimism, it's about statistics. If humans were to last another million years, we would statistically be born far too early. But if civilization is closer to ending, then being born now during this tiny technological window makes perfect statistical sense. This idea becomes stronger when we compare humanity to past civilizations. Most large societies lasted only a few hundred years before collapsing. The Roman Empire, the Maya, the Akkadians, all believed their world would last forever until it suddenly didn't. Today, humanity faces global risks no previous civilization encountered: nuclear war, engineered pathogens, and uncontrollable artificial intelligence. Even climate change poses an existential threat. Rising heat, extreme weather, and ecosystem collapse all increase the chances of a near-future decline. Statistically, many civilizations collapse shortly after reaching their technological peak, when their power outruns their wisdom. Humanity fits that curve perfectly: sudden exponential growth, unprecedented global power, and rising vulnerability all at once. The argument does not claim we will end soon, only that it is more likely than assuming millions of future years. In statistics, assuming you live at the end of something is far more common than assuming you live at the beginning. If humanity had an extremely long future ahead, the odds of you being born now so early, in a vast history, would be incredibly tiny. But if humanity is close to its final generations, then your position in history becomes perfectly ordinary, exactly where probability says you should be. Another clue lies in population. Nearly every human who has ever lived was born in the last few centuries, an explosive pattern typical of systems near collapse. This curve resembles biological populations right before they crash, when resources become strained and instability spreads. Technology accelerates faster than our ability to control it. Each breakthrough creates new risks we barely understand. Nuclear weapons alone nearly ended civilization multiple times, with several close calls hidden from the public for decades. Even now, dozens of nuclear systems operate on old software, human error, and fragile communication networks. Artificial intelligence introduces new uncertainties. If aligned poorly, it could destabilize economies, information systems, or even global governance. Some researchers warn that advanced AI could become an existential risk, one that emerges quietly before anyone realizes the tipping point has passed. Biotechnology poses another threat. Engineered pathogens could spread faster and more unpredictably than anything in natural evolution. Humanity has created tools powerful enough to reshape the world, and also powerful enough to end it. This duality is a defining feature of late-stage civilizations. None of this guarantees doom, but when many independent risks combine, the probability of being in humanity's final chapters becomes statistically reasonable. Another factor is resource depletion. Civilizations often collapse when their consumption grows faster than the planet can replenish. Modern society relies on rare minerals, fossil fuels, and fragile supply chain systems that may not withstand long-term pressure. Climate instability threatens agriculture, water supplies, and global infrastructure, foundations every civilization depends on. History shows that even small environmental changes can trigger widespread social collapse, migration, and conflict. Today, environmental changes are happening faster than at any time in human history, accelerating risks at global scale. If we combine climate, technology, and geopolitical tensions, we see an unstable system approaching a statistical tipping point. The doomsday argument does not claim certainty. It only says this moment aligns with patterns seen in civilizations near their end. If humanity were destined to thrive for hundreds of thousands of years, our appearance this early in history would be extremely unlikely. But if humanity has only centuries or even decades left, then being alive today becomes the most statistically expected outcome. This does not mean we should despair. It means our moment in history is far more fragile, unusual, and important than we realize. Civilization may feel stable, but history shows stability is often an illusion. Things appear solid right before they break. Most people assume progress is permanent, yet every past society believed the same until their world collapsed unexpectedly. The doomsday argument reminds us that we are not guaranteed a long future simply because we desire one. But it also highlights something powerful. If civilization is fragile, then every decision we make now carries enormous weight. Humanity still has time to alter its trajectory, reduce existential risks, and extend its lifetime far beyond statistical expectations. By understanding our vulnerabilities, environmental, technological, and political, we gain the ability to prevent collapse rather than predict it. If we manage to survive the next few centuries, we might become a multi-planet species, rewriting the probability curve entirely. In that case, future humans may look back on us as the generation that stood at the edge and chose to step forward, not fall back. But if we fail, then our moment becomes the closing chapter of a brief, brilliant civilization that burned fast too fast for its own survival. Either way, one truth remains: we are living in a rare, precious moment of history, one that may never come again, and that makes today more important than ever.